Hello and welcome to Let Us Farm. My name is Emily Manuel Oge of Let Us Farm. So today we're talking about methods of feeding your catfish. What are the different methods of feeding in catfish and which one is the best to achieve your optimum result in your catfish rearing? Now, if you are having any problem whatsoever in your farm, all you need to do is do a video of this your problem and send it to 081-353-48909. So when I see this your problem, I will be able to help you solve this problem free of charge. So remember, Let Us Farm is not charging you for any of these services. They are strictly free. I'll be right back to discuss methods of feeding your catfish and which is the best for you. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. So, like I said, different methods of feeding in your catfish farm. There are basically two methods of catfish feeding, and there are also two types of fish feed. Okay, so two types of fish feed. You have the floating and you have the sinking. Now, for your best practice and your best result, I will advise you to stick with your floating. The reason is that your floating gives you a general overview of what's happening in your catfish farm, unlike the sinking, which goes down the feed. But this is not the context of this discussion. So the context is for you to understand the methods of feeding your catfish farming in your farm. So now, in catfish farming, your feeding matters a lot. It is your feeding that determines the weight of your catfish, because if you don't feed your catfishes well, they will not be able to eat, and if they don't eat, they don't digest to give you body weight. In catfish business, what you sell is your body weight and your fish growth. So definitely, if you miss feeding your catfishes well, that means you have wasted your time. So generally, there are two methods of feeding your catfish. First is by broadcast. What do I mean by broadcast? That's the method of you going around your pond and then throwing the feed around the pond. So when you do this, your idea is that once you throw this feed and they land on the water, your intention is for the fishes to eat this feed. However, sometimes you may do this and your fishes don't respond. So what happens is that this feed would end up dissolving and constituting, large concentration of ammonia compounds in the water that will pollute the water and may lead to another problem. So now, before you feed your catfishes, it's always good for you to understand your catfish. So it's not about only understanding how to feed, but you have to understand your catfish for you to be able to feed. So let me explain this so that will help you to understand these two methods of feeding. So generally, you are supposed to feed your catfishes a minimum of 2 times every day. Yes, you can feed your catfishes up to 4 times a day, but minimum of 2 times. If you feed your catfishes twice a day, you are going to still achieve very good results. But like I've done video that I explain the differences in these approaches of feeding twice, 3 times, and all those stuff. But it's never good for you to feed your catfish once a day. That's a no-no. So the minimum is twice a day. So like I said, understanding your catfish before the method of feeding helps you very well. Why and what am I talking about understanding your catfish? Understanding your catfish means understanding when your catfish needs food. Example, when you are doing the broadcast, which is feeding around the pond, if you don't understand your catfish and you feed around the pond, you may end up wasting the feed because you have fed them at a wrong time. And when you feed your catfishes at the wrong time, they won't respond to the feeding, meaning they won't come to eat that food that you are putting for them at that wrong time. And what happens is that those feed becomes wastage. So understanding them is understanding when they want to eat. So how do you understand that? So example, if you are doing twice feeding a day, which is the minimum, it's advisable you feed in the morning Let's say you feed in the morning around 7, 8, 9. Even if you feed by 6 a.m., they will eat. By 5 a.m., they eat. Then come again later in the day. Try to always feed when there is no sun. That's the best time. When there is sun, most of the fishes may not eat. So feed around 4, depending on your location, if the sun is down, or by 5. So by that time, if you feed, your catfishes will respond to food. So by that time, when you come and put feed, they will respond. Even if you're feeding 3 times a day, you can choose to do by 7 in the morning, by 4, 4:30, and by 10 midnight. If you choose to do 4 times a day, just rotate the times. Can be 6 in the morning or 7 in the morning, 4, 10, and then midnight, maybe around 2 or 3 a.m., depending on your schedule. So that's how this thing works. Okay, now, when you now understand that time that you are supposed to feed, it's always good not to switch times. Example, if you are feeding your catfishes every day, let's say by 7 or by 8, stay on that time. So if you must shift position for one day and return back to your old position, is good. Why? This makes your catfish to understand that at this particular point they are expecting food. So if they understand it that they are expecting food at that time, and you come at that time and broadcast the feed, they will respond. But if you are somebody that you feed by 6 a.m. today, and tomorrow you are feeding by 7, the next day you are feeding by 8, you have changed the eating orientation of your catfish. So you know what's going to happen? Each time you change this orientation, they will not get used to that, and then they may not respond positively to your feeding times. So meaning that you can put food and they will not respond, and this feed will waste, especially when you are broadcasting the food. That is when you are just pouring the food and going round. Now, that is one method of feeding. Then the second method is what we call the spot feeding. Spot feeding simply means choosing a particular point in the pond, any particular point, and feed on that spot every time. Now, the first time you try to introduce your fish to spot feeding, they may not react the way you intend. Reason is that maybe where you bought it from, they were sprinkling the feed round. So when you introduce the spot feeding for them, it takes a little time for them to adjust their thinking to that spot. So at this period, some farmers become worried. They are like, oh, I put food, they are not responding. Don't worry yourself. Give your fishes 2, 3 days to 1 week, they will get used to it. So all you do is you put the food, they come to that point. When you keep giving them the food, once they are done, you hold on a little, come back, put another one, some will come. The reason why you are doing it is that the first set of fishes that come are mainly the shooters. They are the strong ones. So by the time they are okay, they withdraw. Another set comes. So you do it 2, 3 times, you try it again, no one comes, it means all of them are okay. Then you go. Now, if you listen to what I said before, you discover that if you now understand how your catfish respond to food by feeding them at a particular time, you discover that each time you want to feed them, once you come in, your shadow, they see your shadow. Let's say you are feeding by 7 a.m. By 7 a.m., they start gathering together because already they know that by 7 you are coming. So once they see a shadow throw on the water, they gather. They're expecting food at that particular point. So immediately you start feeding, they start eating it at that point. Now, if you go to another point, once you start using spot feeding and you go to another point, they won't respond because they are now used to that particular spot. Now, the advantage of this is that it helps you a lot, because if you come to feed and your fishes don't respond, you immediately know that something is wrong with your feed if it is at the time of feeding. Let's say you are feeding by 7 a.m. and then you come by 7 a.m., your fishes did not come to feed. You now wait small, 7, 7:10, 7:20, and the fishes did not come. Immediately you suspect that something is wrong. Immediately you change the water in the pond. It could be that something happened in the pond and you see it. But if you are changing your times and your fishes don't respond, you wouldn't even know if the condition of fish at that time is okay, because you would think that maybe they don't even want to eat, you go. not knowing that they may already be in danger. So that's the reason why it's good for you to understand your time of feeding, keep your time of feeding, and then you choose your method of feeding. Because your method of feeding and your time of feeding goes a long way to keep your catfishes in check and make them to eat as much as they can eat and convert that food to energy that will give you the resultant body weight and growth that you are looking for the catfish. But if you are somebody that just goes anytime you want, you just pour food and go, you don't even know what's happening, it's very wrong. And the negative result will affect your practice. Now, for me, the best method of feeding for me is for you to adopt your spot feeding. Feed at a particular point. This will help you to understand what's going on with your fishes. Some people say, oh, my fish will injure yourself. They can't injure themselves because if you touch their body, they are slimlined. You know, they have this slimming body that always flushes out once they are together. So it means that they cannot injure themselves during the process of eating. Now, when you now understand the timing, the time that your fishes want to eat and keep to that time, it makes your fish eat very well at that time. But once you start switching time, you reduce the amount of feed they eat because your fishes themselves, they don't even know when they will be able to get food. So with that, they lose appetite. But when you keep it in check, that this is the time that you always feed. Now, there could be scenarios that maybe you are feeding by 8 o'clock every day and something happens and you did not go by 8 and you go by 9 or 10. You discover that when you go, they are so hungry, they will even be pushing the pond. You know, they're like, why are you delaying us? Then you feed them. Then the next day you go back to the old time. They will immediately adjust to the old time. It's just something that happens once in a while. You miss a particular time because of an event, there's no problem. But the next time you go, they switch back to the old time. Or if you want to change your time, you can change the time from maybe you are feeding by 7 or by 8, but because of the activities you have, you want to switch it to 9 or you come earlier. Fine. If you do it, be steady on that time. It also helps your fishes and it also helps you to achieve that result that you want to achieve in the catfish production. So this thing is very vital if you must succeed in catfish production. Now, I don't know, maybe there's something I have said that you don't understand or my explanation is not very clear, then you can use the comment section so that I will be able to like explain it more for you to understand better. And if there is any other thing you want me to explain better, I am so willing to do that for you. So until I come your way next time, my name is Emelifon Unwell Oge of Leros Farm. Keep farming till of life.